G'day. Welcome to another edition of Aaron's Adventures. The adventure we're on today is a life hack. I thought I'd quickly slip this one in because, well, I learned this many years ago from an old fella, and I'll talk very quickly on him if you don't mind. But the other videos that I saw on YouTube just really didn't cut the mustard in terms of like saving money and doing the right thing from what it is I learned from this man named Bill Armstrong. If you've ever been to Western Australia, if you do come by, visit a small country town called Walpole along the south coast of Western Australia. Beautiful country town. An old man I met there named Bill Armstrong happens to live on Armstrong Road. The reason why it's called Armstrong Road is because it's named after the family. The interesting part about that is, I don't know if he's still alive anymore. He must be near the age of 90 at the moment, but if he is still alive. But how he got the property is quite an interesting thing. Is that back in the old day, when Walpole was first settled, the government basically got all the blocks of land and they put them all, the lot numbers into a hat, and they just handed out, here's your lot number, here's your lot number, here's your lot number. So the property that he lived on was literally drawn out of a hat. So I take my hat off to him. But I stayed at his property about 20 odd years ago, and it was winter time, and as he introduced me to the property, he said, oh, by the way, the firelighters are just in the ice cream container behind the potbelly stove. And I looked at him and thought, what's that? He said, mate, trust me, they are the best firelighters ever. The next day, like when I saw him, I said, mate, you're right, these things are brilliant. I said, how did you do that? He said, it's dead easy. He took me to his workshop, fantastic workshop, and he showed me how he done it. So the first thing you do, be real quick, is you get yourself, here we go, have yourself a cup of tea. Pretty much. The tea bag costs you nothing because, well, it costs you the cup of tea, but you get the cup of tea with it. Normally you just throw these things in the bin. In this case you don't. You make your cup of tea however you suit. I do it this way, you can do it however you want, it really doesn't matter. But I just wrap it around like this to make a bit of a parcel. Squeeze it flat. You can use one of them, tea bag squeezer type things, whatever you got. But I've got tradesman's fingers, so it doesn't bother me. And then just basically dump it in a container. I'll have it like that because you keep the tab on it because it does make it burn a little bit better. And in the end, you make a collection of these. I just put them like a cheap Chinese container. It doesn't cost you nothing either for that. You know when they've dried out. It takes a few days, but they're light as a feather when they dry out. Herbal teas don't seem to work. I don't know why that is, but there's just maybe something about the tea itself. But just regular black tea really seems to work well. If you don't drink tea, find your next door neighbour or something that does, and just ask them to hang on to the tea bags. And then all you really do is get yourself a bottle of this. It's called Diesel. I think you might have heard of it. I'll sell you this for about $100 a bottle if you like, or you can just pop down to your local service station and get yourself some diesel. $2 worth of diesel would make you like 5,000 tea bags. All you do is pour that on there, and the beautiful part is you can just reuse it again. Do not use anything else. That's why a lot of the other videos, they say you're wasting your money, wasting your time. Don't use lighter fluid, don't use shellite, don't use methylated spirits, don't use kerosene, don't use anything else but diesel, because all the other stuff, it evaporates in time, and it costs you money, whereas like $2 worth of diesel lasts you for near on forever. You just leave that in there overnight. It doesn't actually take long for all that to really soak up there, because I just lazy-wise just pour it on there, just leave it until you get the next day. He had in his workshop an old rusty oven tray, just something like that, metal preferably. If you put it on your bench, of course your bench is going to get diesel into it, and that's probably not a good idea. But just something like that on a grill or on a chunk of concrete, it really doesn't matter. Then you just dry the sucker out. You can pour all that back into there. I'll show you these in a minute. And once you're done, you can pour that, and then you can reuse that again and again and again and again until all the diesel's used up. So it literally costs you next to nothing. And once you've dried it out, leave it for a week or something like that, and you end up with that. Now these are beautiful things. First of all, gravity wins. But I've got containers of this out in my country town, and these things last for years. I had like a box of them 3 years. They were sitting out there in a container like this, so they're not really like airtight or anything like that. Regular firelighters that you buy at the shop don't really, they don't last. Like, you got those bricks and things you break off, and they after a couple of years of sitting on the shop shelf, all the stuff evaporates from it. But these things, it doesn't matter how much time goes by. There we go, hang on to that. There, off you go. And it was like 3 years, and I couldn't believe it. It lights no problems at all. If you're in a situation where you're going camping and you've got like wet firewood, you've got a big fire and like you really want to get something going. I came up with this idea myself. That it was old Bill Armstrong that taught me this one. But this one I was sitting on the dunny, obviously, and I thought to myself, I look at these and thought, hang on a minute. So basically what you do is just fold the ends of that in. You don't want to close it right up because you want the air to flow through. Get your two, don't stuff too many of them. Which ones are done? These ones are done. So we've got 1, 2, 3, about 4 of them in there. Fold up the ends like that, so you still got a bit of a hole there, nothing fancy. Like just put them in there and let them soak. I'm soaking there for about 24 hours or whatever, really doesn't really matter. And these ones I've done already, I'm not going to, because it's like summer and fireban season and everything, I'm not going to light up one of these babies, but that there, you light that up as well, and even if the timber is wet, it'll dry the wood right out and you'll still get yourself a good fire going. That'll burn for ages. So literally, none of this stuff costs you anything. The toilet roll doesn't cost you nothing, you had that anyway. Tea bags didn't cost you nothing, you had that anyway. The diesel is stuff all. Like I said, $2 from the service station with the diesel, and you've got enough to, you know, so you just keep reusing the stuff. It will make you get a bit discoloured from the tea bags as you transfer it across. It doesn't make any difference at all. And just soak it in diesel. Tea bags are the go. So yeah, life hack. Any other tips? Yeah, just the things to remember. The herbal teas don't work. I've tried it with the peppermint tea bags and chamomile tea and all that. Just for some reason I don't think there's just enough in there to really do the trick. The black tea definitely does the trick. And yeah, just don't use anything else but diesel, because the diesel's safe. It's a slow burning item. Like it's not going to explode on you. Don't use petrol or anything like that. But diesel will not explode. It can only explodes under pressure. So it is the most safest, the most cheapest thing you could possibly use. And yeah, welcome to Aaron's Adventures of Life Hacks of the best fire lighters you can get. Thumbs up.